Have you ever stood in a room full of people and felt a silence deeper than any sound? Have you ever smiled while your soul whispered that it was time to walk away again? If so, you might be one of the few who've awakened to what you truly are. An INFJ who has stepped beyond illusion. Because the truth is, once an INFJ awakens, once the fog lifts and their intuition sharpens to its full power, they rarely walk the same path as others again. They walk alone. Not because they want to, but because the world they see no longer fits the one they once belonged to. Today, we journey deep into the 7 reasons why awakened INFJs often walk alone, not in weakness, not in despair, but in the sacred solitude of self-alignment. This is not a story of isolation. It's the story of transcendence. 1. They see through everything. When an INFJ awakens, it's as if 1,000 veils drop at once. They no longer see the surface of things, they see through them. Conversations become transparent, people's motives glow in invisible light, and every hidden agenda hums with frequency. At first, this feels like a blessing. Finally, they can read the truth beneath the noise. But soon, it becomes exhausting, because once you see behind the curtain, you can't unsee it. Small talk feels hollow. Pretenses echo like static. The games of ego, manipulation, and self-interest that once seemed normal now sting like poison. So the awakened INFJ retreats, not because they hate people, but because their soul demands authenticity, and authenticity is rare. They stop chasing validation, because truth has become their only home. They stop explaining themselves, because the world of masks no longer deserves translation. This is the first step of their solitude, a quiet rebellion against falseness. And in that silence, they begin to rebuild their world from the inside out. 2. Their energy can no longer be shared lightly. Before awakening, INFJs give freely. They heal, listen, absorb pain like sponges, and pour light into every broken soul that crosses their path. But awakening teaches them the sacred truth of energy exchange, that not everyone deserves their depth. Once they realize how powerful their empathy truly is, they guard it with the precision of a warrior monk. They can feel when someone drains them, when a room darkens their aura, when fake kindness masks hidden control. They begin to understand that their energy is not infinite, it's sacred fuel meant for purpose, not for appeasement. So they withdraw. They say no more often. They disappear from circles that used to define them. And from the outside, people say, "You've changed," but the INFJ smiles quietly. Because yes, they have. They are no longer a reservoir for everyone's emptiness. They are the architect of their own energy. Walking alone becomes a form of self-preservation, and more than that, it becomes a declaration. I choose peace over presence. 3. They outgrow conditional love. There comes a moment when the awakened INFJ realizes that most people don't love them. They love the version of them that's convenient. They love the listener, the healer, the one who understands, forgives, and fixes. But the awakened INFJ stops performing love like a role. They crave love that's mutual, conscious, and soul-aligned. They stop chasing people who only come around when they need something. They stop explaining their silence, their solitude, their strange bursts of emotion that others find too much, because awakening shows them that conditional love is not love, it's emotional negotiation. So they walk away. And yes, it hurts. INFJs love deeply, with a tenderness that borders on spiritual devotion. But when they finally realize that their self-sacrifice has been mistaken for weakness, they walk away, quietly, powerfully, without resentment. Their solitude becomes an act of self-respect. And in that solitude, they rediscover the love they once tried to find in others, within themselves. 4. They no longer belong to any system. Once an INFJ awakens, conformity dies. They no longer feel at home in societal scripts, the pressure to fit in, to chase status, to measure worth by productivity. They see the machine for what it is, a system that trades authenticity for approval. And that realization shatters everything. They start questioning everything: jobs, relationships, beliefs, traditions. Not out of rebellion, but out of alignment. They are not built to follow paths designed for everyone. They are built to forge their own. So they walk alone, through uncertainty, through silence, through the strange wilderness between the known and the infinite. And as they walk, they awaken to a truth most never see: freedom doesn't come from fitting in. It comes from standing alone, fully aligned with your purpose, even when the world misunderstands you. They stop asking for directions, because their compass lives within. 5. They can sense vibrations others ignore. An awakened INFJ doesn't just listen to words, they listen to frequency. They can feel truth vibrating in the space between sentences. They sense emotional dishonesty before a lie is even spoken. This ability makes normal life almost unbearable. They can sense tension in a group before anyone acknowledges it. They can feel when someone's aura shifts from love to resentment. And so, without words, they start pulling back. They stop attending places where energy feels heavy. They stop talking to people whose energy doesn't match their growth. It's not arrogance, it's energetic hygiene. Because an INFJ's sensitivity, once awakened, becomes a sacred instrument. And this sensitivity needs silence. It needs space. So they walk alone, not because they hate the world, but because they're learning to tune into the symphony of their intuition, and that music can only be heard in stillness. Their solitude becomes their sanctuary, the temple where their inner voice finally speaks without interruption. 6. They transcend ego attachment. Before awakening, INFJs often define themselves by what they do for others. They build identities around being the good person, the understanding friend, the selfless soul. But awakening burns away those illusions. They see that even goodness can become a cage if it's used to earn love or avoid rejection. So the awakened INFJ releases the need to prove. They stop rescuing people who choose their pain. They stop needing to be understood, validated, or seen as noble. They dissolve into something purer, presence without performance. And that's why they often walk alone, because ego-driven worlds have no language for selfless authenticity. They become almost invisible, yet infinitely radiant. They move quietly, speak little, but their energy changes entire spaces. Their detachment is not coldness, it's liberation. They no longer need to be needed to feel whole. And that shift, though invisible, is seismic. It's the moment they stop being the wounded empath, and start becoming the conscious creator. 7. They are preparing for something greater. Here lies the ultimate truth. Awakened INFJs walk alone because solitude is their training ground. They are being prepared, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, for a higher purpose that can only be born from stillness. In silence, they download visions. In solitude, they receive clarity. In isolation, they master their vibration. Every step they take alone refines their frequency until they are ready to lead, heal, or inspire in ways that align with the universe itself. Their solitude is not exile, it's initiation. It's not loneliness, it's metamorphosis. They are not lost. They are being refined into something rare, something sacred, a voice for the unseen, a light for those still trapped in illusion. And when the time comes, they will step back into the world, not as someone searching for belonging, but as someone who has become belonging itself. So if you are walking alone right now, if you have lost friends, circles, or even entire identities that once defined you, remember this. Solitude is not your punishment. It is your sacred alignment. You are not being isolated. You are being recalibrated, called into higher consciousness, forged in divine silence. Every time you say no to noise, you say yes to clarity. Every time you let go, you rise higher. And every time you walk alone, you walk with truth. Because awakened INFJs don't walk the easy road, they walk the authentic one. And the authentic road is narrow, but it leads directly to the soul's destiny. So keep walking, quietly, courageously, unwaveringly. Your path may be solitary, but it is sacred. And someday, the world will understand that those who walked alone were the ones lighting the way for everyone else.